And this is Rap Latte.
And I am King Green, and we got my guy, Deante Kyle from the Grits and Eggs podcast. Welcome.
We back. What's going on?
Welcome. You guys we were talking about something interesting from your podcast, how there's no new rap stars who have been created since at least 2015. Nobody who's a star. Everybody who's a star was doing this before 2015. So it's been at least a decade that no new stars have been created. And Doechie's getting there. She's clearly on the come up.
She got 60 million monthly listeners. I just want to put that out there before. So that's a lot. Her music's a star. Yeah. Her music is a star.
Hey, that's not Harriet Tubman music right there. That's real.
Yeah.
But why what is your theory on why there's no new stars, rap stars have been created in at least a decade?
Okay, so the three main rap stars we would look at right now on the male side of it is what would be Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick, correct?
Yep.
And then we could throw like Nicki Minaj in there just to make this point further. They all stem from people who were stars already. So we get the Dr. Dre cosign for Kendrick, the Jay-Z cosign for J. Cole, and then the Lil Wayne cosign for Drake and Nicki Minaj. We don't have them co-signing or ushering in any stars underneath themselves. I think that's why you look to Doechii, is because she has the cosign from Kendrick and she's coming up underneath his camp as well. But also like too, there has been like people who show potential to be stars, like a Nipsey Hussle, a Pop Smoke, who, you know, come to like an unfortunate demise. And, you know, then we don't know what to replace that with. I think that there's also a push with like streaming to keep music very in and out. So like you don't listen to Good Kid, Mad City for 2 weeks and then just drop it. You know, you listen to it for the long term. Yeah, and then you keep it like then you go to the concert, then you get more involved into the story and what leads up to Pimp a Butterfly and things like that. Where now it's like a rapper can drop the best work of their life and 2 weeks later nobody's fucking talking about it.
Well, is it the best work of their life though?
But no, but
like,
it's advantageous like you can say industry for us to continue to listening to more things versus to spend a lot of time listening to one or two things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that creates a star. Like, okay, I'll take it to this point. Like, when Get Rich or Die Trying dropped, I listened to that album for 2 years. I listened to it until Beg for Mercy came out.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have all of these competing sources to like draw my attention away. So there could be an issue of like attention, and there could be also like the business model of the.
I think I think the business model gets into a problem. There isn't a centralized source by which you could create a star. It used to be if you were spun 40 to 60 times a week on MTV, God forbid you had 2 videos going at once, you were a household name. There is no equivalent to MTV at this point. That whole throne has been abdicated. There's nothing that can send energy or thoughts out to coalesce around this individual at that level of intensity for that many people.
I think we also got to recognize that speaking on the MTV point, you got to recognize that there is no one controlled mega media systems. The mega media systems that exist now, like YouTube, which is MTV for everything. If you're a political person, it's CNN. If you're music, it's this. And it's so fragmented. So that's why someone can have healthy, rich careers without being superstars and megastars. So what really happened on the positive note is that things got democratized. So therefore, you could have Toby Nwigwe, who has a flourishing career, but he's not a superstar, and he probably never will be, right? And you could have all these different artists who could do these and have these sections. So I think the internet did that, and streaming did that as well. And then the labels feel more, well, I agree with Deante, is that they feel more incentive to just push something in and out because they have more control. You're gonna have more control instead of having some big superstar that you can't handle that now can basically be the label. Like
Right.
the power that Drake has when he did his deal for $400 million, he we were not supposed to bring up Drake in this episode, but the power I'm just trying to keep it away from Tory, but I'm saying, but the power that Drake had at that point at 2017 or something like that, he was a conglomerate. He could have quit and be worth $2-3 billion right now. But even with taking a pay cut.
But he also doesn't usher in anybody underneath him.
Agreed.
The way that Wayne
within the labels, that the labels lack enough marketing budget and power and even direction. I think we're down to essentially 4 labels at this point, right? I mean, like, I used to be inundated with PR, information, labels, music, conversation. That doesn't really exist anymore. Are labels able to push to create a world where the audience is going, oh, I'm supposed to focus on this individual now?
Well, I think also too, you can't consolidate it down to 10. So TRL consolidates who the stars are down to 10. 106 in Park consolidates it down to 10. So I'm listening to Hot in Here every day for a year and a half until Nelly comes up with the new song. Mm-hmm. Same thing with like In the Club, 50 Cent. It's every day. So like the media that I'm consuming is feeding me the same source from the same artist all the time, constantly. I don't really have any choice but to think they're a star. And how often it's like also like the programming of like repetition. I might hate this song when I first hear it, but if I can't escape it on the radio and I can't escape it on the TV, then after 6 months, I know it word for word, whether I want to or not.
I wonder if, do I really like it? I mean, in some of those cases you're talking about, or was I acculturated to, I never forget, I used to listen to Star and Buck Wild in the morning, and Star was playing Keisha Cole's Love every morning in full. And I was like, first 3 months, I was like, is this a joke? Like, is he playing this ironically? Because this is a horrible singer. Like, what the fuck? Why would you play this record every day? Oh my. And then one day something clicked and I was like, no, this record is amazing. She's singing from like raw pain. And I finally was able to hear it on the 100th listen of like, no, she's amazing. She's not Whitney Houston, but she's amazing.
But how many hundreds of thousands of dollars did it take for you to have that opinion?
Right. Yes.
So then now, if things don't work on social media, so like, okay, let's use Ice Spice for a perfect example, right? Mm-hmm. The Munch song goes extremely viral, and then she's immediately sexualized, and her popularity comes from men sexualizing her and women quoting her for IG captions, right? But the further we get away from Munch and we don't get anything equivalent to that, then it just becomes about her and what she's doing as a person. Then it becomes about personal business. And then we have artists trying to stay afloat with controversy and like staying, like changing their look to this, changing their look to that, who they're around, why they're around them. And it ain't even about the fucking music no more. So then also I can't go anywhere and hear Munch 100 times for me to even make me like it. If I don't like it within the first 15, 20 seconds now, then I just move on to the next thing. And then we have TikTok where, do I like this song? Like, you remember that, bitch, I'm stylish, Glock tuck, big t-shirt, Billie Eilish.
That's my guy.
Check this out. Do you even like that song, or do you just like that bar? Have you even heard the whole song? So you got people creating careers out of like 15, 20-second clips, and it's microwavable, and they're gone in 2 months. You don't have, what's the follow-up from that guy? Same thing with like Tommy Richmond. He makes the $1 Million Baby. It's a bop because the 15, 20 seconds of it that we really like, he transitioned into another part. Now then he gets stuck to his own devices and tries to segregate himself from hip hop, and people are like, all right, well, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was so crazy.
Green, what do you attribute the main reason to why we aren't seeing new stars created for a decade plus now?
I like the thing that he brought up about the like new version of one hit wonders too, and I want to talk about that separately. But to attributing I think it's a combination, obviously, of the tech world entering the music industry and the labels continuing their predatory exploitive nature. So if I don't have to house music now, right? I don't have to pay for anything for you. I don't need to, like what I'm saying, like I don't have to pay to develop you at all. The label hasn't paid anything to develop you. I don't have to house your music. And now I can completely be exploitative with all of your funds from the revenue of streaming. It's just like, oh, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't have to do anything for you. All I have to do is say, hey, I'm gonna make you famous so you can get more streams. I get all the money. You figure out however you're gonna make money, because that's literally what the labels say. Okay, because you come into this. So I'm saying the labels are the biggest component. Is the label and how they treat artists and how people treat talent in general. Like all this stuff with AI now and how you could use it, and is it right to use it on type of stuff, and how artists are going to fail, how movies are failing. It already happened to music for 10, 15 years, but nobody gave a damn because they were still getting slaps. If you're still getting slaps, I don't care what you had to do to give me these slaps. And if you're not going to give me slaps, that little 15-year-old kid who just made a slap on Instagram hooked me up, because we need music. Don't get this wrong. We physically need music. We need to make sense of this world that we have at all times, right? I've already expressed this before. We've all been somewhere, heard a song and said, I have to have this song. And you did everything you needed to do to get that song because it meant so much to you in that moment, right?
For sure.
So but we don't need music from Drake. We don't need music from Jay-Z. We need music. So if some kid on Instagram gives it for 15-second clip, gave me what I need, what I needed. I'm talking about what we need. I'm saying, because we're talking about the casual consumer. I'm not talking about, of course we want a superstar. Of course we want a superstar, but we just
need Kendrick. I mean, like, slow down.
No, understand my point.
Kendrick and Jay-Z, I need them. Oh,
yeah, nah, I need that. Like, for real.
Need that.
You don't need that brick, nigga. Come on. But I
feel you. You get what I'm saying, right? I'm saying that the casual listener is getting that dopamine from whatever 15-second clip that Deante was talking about. And then, so if I'm getting some real soul food from this person right here, and it takes me, if I have to drive 45 minutes from some soul food, Chipotle down the street.
Right.
McDonald's is across the street. I'm hungry and I know the soul food's better, but I'm not about to drive 30 miles to get the soul food. And that's what I think is the consumer's, how the consumer's complicit in it. And then the label's the one that created this exploitation. It's their fault first. The tech company,
and there is no echo chamber for us anymore as hip hop consumers. That used to be our thing. Now it's like everybody's thing, and everybody can have an opinion. And there's no journalistic integrity in the hip hop space anymore. Now it's just like, what do we do for clicks? What do we do for engagement? So I wanted to bounce off of your point, Green, and say, if the label gets everything like packaged and ready made. So the only thing they're really throwing money into is marketing on social media, because you have to come with followers already and you have to come with a song that has a buzz already. The only thing we do is come in, sign you, put all that money into marketing to make you so visible online that you can't be ignored. And I would say a good example of this is somebody like Belly Gang Cushington. I don't know if you know who that is, but like it's a controversial thing with him in the South, because he's biracial, but he looks white, but he say nigga like every fourth bar.
He's biracial. He is black.
He's passing.
Yeah. He's
passing for black?
No, passing for white.
Pass for white.
Well, he passes for, he's white passing like in how he looks, but you could tell like phenotypically he's black. You know what I mean? Like,
but he actually is black, but he'd be saying the N-word so people are I mean,
so that's the first point of controversy. But the second point is that he sounds like Jeezy, but the music slaps. But then he does these controversial things, like he just did he stopped traffic on the expressway and did a mic drop in the middle of the fucking expressway. So he's doing like these controversial like marketing things that work well on social media. But like that's label shit. Like what's gonna work? Like how do we identify you? What box do we place you in? Okay, people say that you like Jeezy. What does that look like? What does trap look like in 2025? And how do we relate that to the masses? Because we don't have to do anything else. Belly Gang Kush or Cushington.
Okay, but okay.
But the music, I'm honest, to be honest, the music is crazy good though. Like if you like that, like old school Jeezy, that shit is a vibe. And he's talking trap talk, but the thing is like there's these like big salacious moments. Like he took $75,000 on I-75 and stopped in the middle of traffic and took a picture with it. So it's like these things that are like
it's the Mr. Beastification of content.
Okay, great point.
That's what it is. Point. That's but everybody.
To your point, the label doesn't have to do any legwork. The reason why people love Doechii is because TDE has developed her as an artist
in front of our eyes too.
Right in front of our eyes. Yeah. And we've seen like what that does for staying power as well, because it's staying power that she has that a lot of the people that are adjacent to her don't have. We always want to see what she's doing, and she's doing it the way the original artist would do it. She's doing it in fashion. She's making the right collaborations and culture, and she has the music and the talent to back it up, and she's an amazing performer. A lot of rappers are horrible fucking performers. So then I wanted to pose a question to Touré. You being in the cusp and in like you were part of the heartbeat of hip hop early 2000s, right? What point do we see music and film separate where they used to be conjoined at the hip? How many like you remember when it was a necessity? Some of the 106 and Park top 10 songs, some of the TRL top 10 songs are directly linked to a film.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
As not only as promotion, but like
as a sync person.
It's a fantastic question. I feel like Hollywood's love of Black people comes and goes in a trend way that is perhaps even more obvious than anywhere else, right? And we talk about the trend of Blaxploitation, which is early 70s, peters out by the mid 70s. You still see a couple in the late 70s, but it's petered out, right? So like we're very excited about making these sort of films in the first half of the 70s, and then we lose interest. Spike Lee helps create a boom in the 80s, which is part of what you're referencing that really comes to the fore in the 90s. John Singleton, Matty Rich, a few other people. That was the Hudlin brothers. I believe the Hughes brothers were part of that. So that's Menace Society, Do the Right Thing, Boomerang, a little bit later, like and then that went away. Spike continued, the Hudlins continued to work, but like it was never again that. And then there was a moment again recently, about 10 years ago, when it was Black Panther and Steve McQueen was doing his thing, and Black Panther gave us more but that has definitely receded again. With a moment is no. So I mean, Hollywood loses interest in us after a few years of us being hot.
Hollywood's also losing as well. So there's two parts of that. So I what I've been done for the last 10 years, write songs for film and TV. So I make songs and they're in Netflix movies, all that. I've seen the change within the last 8 to 10 years. Not only what happened before. So what you're talking about, there used to be more Black films, right? But they also used to be more films. The middle class, low class version of films where Black people resided. You weren't getting a big budget as a Black film, right? But you would get something and you would be able to get put in theaters. Now nobody gets put in theaters unless you have IP already. You want to make movies out of Teletubbies? Cool. You want to make movies out of
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid, like, yeah, the studio.
What's that Seth Rogen?
The studio. Yeah.
Exactly.
They will probably actually make that movie too, which is the greatest thing about that bit, is that they would make a movie about Kool-Aid and it'll be just like the Lego movie. They're going to hire the best writers. You're going to have Jack Black playing Kool-Aid, and I'm probably going to go watch it with my niece. That's the craziest part.
Earlier in 100%, and earlier in the episode when they're like, he doesn't want to make a Jenga movie. You could make a hot movie about Jenga. Like, what?
You can make the blocks living organisms that have personality and character, and it would go like the Emoji Movie. It would be the same thing.
But the Scorsese movie about Jim Jones and Guyana.
That was dope as fuck.
I want that. I need that movie. I need that.
Like, I need that.
I need that.
And when Marty was like, "Yo, we'll call it Kool-Aid," it's like, "Oh, I'm not mad at you right now, son. You're crazy."
I said the writers are writing, bro. They're writing in there.
I like that show a lot. I'm actually gripped on that studio shit.
Wait, did you watch the last episode when they were doing when they were watching her make the oneer?
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
When did this drop?
It dropped probably like a week ago because the new one's dropping this probably Wednesday or Tuesday or something.
It's just the
one
most
with Anthony Mackie?
Yes.
No, that's the one before.
I'm talking about the episode before Anthony Mackie.
I'm not caught up, but it's fine. I'm gonna watch it either way. Go ahead.
It's the penultimate episode, the second to last one that has really. He's just trying to be supportive, and in trying to be supportive of this female filmmaker, he's doing everything to get in her way and fuck her shit up.
Where he's ruining everything?
Yes, he's trying to be nice, and I'm just here to support women filmmakers. And she's like, you could support me from anywhere else on the globe.
Yeah, facts.
Messed up the whole one shot and everything.
The shot like 5 times,
like,
bro.
It's a comedy of toxic masculinity that he's trying to be nice and he's trying to be supportive, and the more he tries, the more he fucks shit up for her.
Right.
And that's also what we're talking about, like with the label shit and Hollywood shit. They feel like they know some shit, and we call them suits. Once you get into this world as a creative, everybody else is a suit. And the suits want to come in with creative ideas. Like I told you, in the studio, making this song, I'm writing a verse for a rapper because that's niggas really be needing a verse written for them. So I'm ghostwriting this verse, and then a suit A&R goes, yo, when you talked about girls right there, you should talk about girls more right there, and then have him say something about his hood right here. And I'm like,
why are you talking?
Why are you talking to me?
They don't know how to create culture. They know how to package culture. And what they're doing is referencing other packages that they've seen work. Exactly. But they don't understand the thing that sells is the constant progression of culture. So like, you don't know. Hey, look, I'm going to come and bring you this cultural item. You package it for whatever that market is. But as far as the creation process, you stay the fuck out of it. Like, stay out of it.
Exactly.
9 times out of 10, the thing that brought you fame, notoriety, the thing that got you your position had nothing to do with you. It probably just landed on your doorstep, right? So, all
these suits talk about, I got this artist and I have this artist. Like, they actually created these artists and made them who they are. And like you said, they're packaging it. It's really what's progressive is the authenticity. It's like, I'm being authentic in my music, and then this worked because someone resonated with it. And you saw it, and now you package it and duplicate it. And that's the whole thing with IP that kills me in media. And to go back to our conversation, the studio, great TV because it's playing off of film-like sensibilities and quality. All great TV right now has the aesthetics of film. Like Dope Thief is on Apple 2, which y'all should watch. I like the first 2 episodes. It's already pissing me off though. It's
getting into murky waters. They gave us so much up top.
In the
You know what I mean? The first episode was like the whole season, and it's just like now we're just trying to like that could have been a movie.
It should have been a movie. That's my point. They extend things for TV without making it actual television.
I would like to see Brian Tyree Henry be in the streets than be a pig, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's not even like a pig. He's not even like, he's a fake cop.
He's a fake cop, yeah.
Yeah, he's posing as a cop to rob drug dealers.
Oh, I might not have watched the whole.
You gotta watch.
Oh, you thought they were
I watched
DEA
a bunch
for real?
of the first episode. I must have missed something.
He's robbing he's robbing corner boys basically to pretending to be DEA agents, and then they step up to not corner boys to go to like some real drug lord shit, and then it fucks up their whole stuff. But it, like we said, it's like the first 2 episodes. It feels like that should have been the movie, and we'd have been good. It'd have been a great movie.
I think we could have wrapped it there. Like, really, we could have came to a conclusion, and it would have been great. But I think now it's like they came too fast. That's the only way to say it.
That's how it feels like. They just came too fast. It's like
they came too fast, and now like they trying to make us wait for them to get back hard. Like, nah, it's over.
It's over.
Let me shift you for a second. So when we look back at Kenny and Drake and the whole year-long saga of that, which may or may not be over, because people are pointing out how Nokia is visually kind of dissing, referencing.
I think that's Drake fans trying to be Kendrick fans. They should just let it be.
Maybe, but I mean, I wouldn't. I think he is using little moments in Nokia to sort of like try to kick rocks, and I'm like, you look stupid, but the larger point is the overall effect on hip hop and the culture. Was it valuable and positive? What was it out of this whole beef battle that we just went through?
The why?
I think that it shifted the tide of culture versus commerce. That's what I called it the entire time. This is a battle of culture versus corporate. Drake representing the corporate fashion of it, because the real hip hop thing is this. 15, 20 years ago, if we find out Drake doesn't write all his music, we don't listen to Drake anymore. But we also have like Rap City in the Basement. Like, we have people, like, we have these things that are so like connected to the origins of it. Like, you have to be a rapper in the early 2000s, late 90s, you had to go on Rap City in the Basement and rap with Tigger. Like, you had to do that. Yeah. Or it wasn't respected. So it's like a lot of the pillars have gone away from it, and now it's just about, do you have the most, like, how many streams do you do? How many records did you sell? And it's like, I've never seen like hip hop be so hard on for like numbers and statistics and like analytics as it's gotten. But I think it just creates a conversation for people that are kind of
Jay-Z's fault.
The culture.
If we're gonna be real, it's kind of Jay-Z's fault. But go ahead.
Wait, but what is Jay-Z's fault now?
Well, it's New York's fault. It's New York's fault, but
that what?
That we're dealing with we'll get you in here. But that we're dealing with this type of numbers game situation.
Do you think that Magna Carta Holy Grail did that?
I wouldn't say
the announcement of 1,000 copies sold before the album drops. I mean, not 1,000, but 1 million copies sold.
Tori's still there, but the announcement of 1 million copies sold, yes, he made it about numbers his whole career, because that's how he validated his cultural significance as well as his skill. So he has the act. We all know Jay-Z's was #1 rapper forever, right? He actually has a skill, right? But to validate that to other people because someone else is selling. If DMX in the same year you did 5 mil, DMX did 2 albums that went #1 and did like 7 mil, some shit like that, and people are like, DMX is the guy. How do you validate yourself? It's like, oh, I'm here for 8 summers. I'm go platinum every time. I have 13 #1s. These numbers validate the things that you are saying, of saying that you are the best, right? And then he actually makes good music too, great music. So I think that was his angle on being able to have that conversation, as well as why he took the angle of
I think that
going at
the thing too is Jay-Z, the thing that doesn't get spoken about a lot about him is that he was more conforming to the establishment than everybody else. DMX did not conform to the establishment. Jay-Z, with the hustler mentality, looked at, okay, I can come in and infiltrate this space and make it better for those who come behind me. But ultimately, the goal is to make myself stand out in this space, right? So we have the whole thing about the Oh Boy song, where he was supposed to make a cameo and he didn't want to do a cameo in the Oh Boy song. But then when it becomes like a hit, then he wants to put a verse on there and like, oh yeah, now I'll acknowledge it. And Cameron was like, man, fuck that. Take that shit off. Like, nah, we did it without him. We asked for him just to show up and be in the video, and he said no. So don't try to show up on the song now that it's a hit.
Okay, yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of that, like,
I'm not sure what point we're making though, because I mean, okay.
Oh, Hovenger's coming.
Hove is about, fuck you. Hove is about Hove.
You good. Come back. Move it back. back.
There we go. There we go.
We get it right there.
There's a delay on the camera, so you hit the spot, and then it looks like you didn't, and then you go past it. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what point we're making. Jay has always been about Jay. He won't do shit that is not for him. Okay.
No, the point we're making is that him influencing the large amount of influence he had on the culture. We all know he had hip hop, like the whole hip hop on his hands, and then he is telling everybody, look at how important I am because of how much I sell. I am great and better than you because I sell more, right? That became a consistent idea after him. Because he was actually great. His music's actually great.
Pimp Juice and
yes, he was talking about yes, he promoted that. But the entire ethos of Jay-Z, the entire conversation of Jay-Z was not just I outsell you. It was I'm cooler than you. I'm tougher than you. So all of that, right? And like
he does everything.
It doesn't take away.
I'm outspitting you. I'm cooler at this. I'm spitting double entendres easier than you. Like I can make your rhyme. I can take a hot line and use it better than you. Like, so it was not just Drake's conversation is just numerical.
Well, we're not comparing him to Drake. We're not comparing him to Drake. We're saying that the idea, forget Drake, any rapper talks about their sales. You go to these gossip hip hop pages, they talking about numbers and controversy, right? Numbers, freaking your boy Academics, your favorite. He only talks about people's numbers, like that makes it value. Right. And now your streams make it value.
People that talk about numbers have no cultural currency. So he lacks cultural currency. So he has commercial currency. He's only going to talk about things that translate commercially, but people don't give a fuck about numbers. So the thing is, the reality is like hip hop is this. We get Kendrick coming out top on the beef, and then we get this Saba album with no ID. That is received so well because people are in a space where they want to hear real hip hop again. Like that's what we want to hear. We want to hear somebody speaking on their experience from the culture and not from a marketing standpoint or just like, how do you create a great body of work? Right? Because that's the thing we could talk to about the difference between Kendrick and Drake. Kendrick has great bodies of work. Drake has bodies of work with hits on them.
Yes.
So go listen to Scorpion right now and tell me, oh, I'm running Scorpion. No, you don't listen to it for a cohesiveness of the album and the story that's being told. You know that he has 3 hits on there, so I'm gonna go listen to the album.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for the hits. You look for the hits.
Drake essentially makes playlists into albums. And then how many hits can he put on here? But there's no cohesiveness. There's no story being told. There's no cultural currency. It's only good for what's commercial.
3,000%. He makes scavenger hunts instead of like this nigga. You gotta go over there and look for this shit. That's what I did for his whole career. I was like, where's that shit? Where's that shit that's hot? Oh, this shit's hot. And then you find out
you can't even directly. Go back 10 years and directly tie his hits to albums. You can't.
I can't.
You know
I have no idea.
Song is, and then you would have to. Oh, what album was that on?
Right? But he's so huge that you do remember the album titles. I think they're part of culture. Album titles. But you're right about that. I don't know what is on. I don't. No fucking clue.
Okay,
you're right.
You know what song? Go ahead.
Well, he's not really creating albums. He's creating, like you said, playlists. Like we talk about albums where there is a sonic or thematic relationship within the whole thing. T-Pab, Mr. Morale, what's going on, Off the Wall, right? My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. There is a relationship between these songs, right? There is a journey that Drake doesn't. Drake is one of the many people. Most artists don't do that, and he's never done that.
Well, the thing is this too, and this is where the issue of ghostwriting comes in, is that you don't have a vision for music that you're not creating. This is why this is why the performance lacks. The performance.
I didn't get that right away.
There's no vision. There's no
Wait,
vision for.
let's make it a little more. Let's make it a little more complicated though, because Kanye is similarly creating by committee. Other people are putting paintbrush to canvas.
But he's producing it.
Well, he's got 5 to 10 producers who are helping him. He's got 5 to 10 writers that are helping him at any given moment. He is curating it in that he's like, this is the vibe, this is the idea, this is the direction. And people come back to him. He's like, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that, and make the thing. So he's surely more active, but
directing and executive producing it more than anything else. But but this is also within parallel to what his vision for it is. So there's a cohesiveness and there's a sonic journey that he wants to take you on, right? He has a vision. The vision for Drake is, I'm going to tour. How many hits can I make? Who can I feature? You know, let's go grab the regular guys. Let's go grab Thug. Let's go grab Future. Let's go grab 21 Savage. So we know we're going to do well in the South. And let's get Party to write a song for me, so I know that I have a song for the ladies, but make sure this nigga never has a successful career outside of me. And we're going to take this show on the road.
That part. Let's talk about that part.
He's purposely sabotaging people so they don't. What was that?
Okay, the thing is, who's come up under Drake? We've heard rumblings of people. We've heard rumblings of The Weeknd, but Weeknd knew he had to get the fuck out of there. Who comes out of OVO? What is OVO outside of Drake? Besides people that come in, they lend a sound to him, then he takes the sound and he disregards them.
It's a factory, and it's built that way. And a lot of people have said that from the inside, who've done things from production to writing. Look at all the, like, if you're reading It's Too Late, sweatshop like shit. Even if you're reading It's Too Late, what that did to Quentin Miller, what it did to me as just a fan. I'm listening to this album and I'm like, I like this album. If you're reading It's Too Late, I was like, my nigga Jibber, he riding the passenger. And then I hear Quentin Miller say, my nigga Jibber. Wait, whose nigga is this? I thought this was yo. Like, okay, now what am I listening to?
This is another thing too, right? I was in a meeting with Atlantic. Hold on one second.
We'll get it going. We got to get his thing popping.
I was in a oh, where we go?
We're good. We here.
Do I look blurry to y'all?
Yeah, you're getting
a little. Green's working on it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Trying to, but it's just
using a meeting with Atlantic.
I was in a meeting with Atlantic because I had like a song that was doing really well in the clubs, and then I had performed it at this like birthday bash event where they was trying to look for somebody to open up for a birthday bash at like a separate adjacent event, like whatever. I won that competition, but they wanted to buy the song. So I went in, and that wasn't the idea that I had for my career. I was also 24, so I was extremely like bullheaded about the whole situation. Like, if I'm not going to be the face of this, I don't want to do it, right? So they was like, well, you know, Quentin Miller wrote the Running Through the Six, and that song is actually about running through East Atlanta, but the label, they repackaged it, and if they give it to Drake, and if Drake decides to call Toronto the Six, he has so much power that they'll just adopt that to make that work, because that song is that much of a hit. But it's not a hit if Quentin Miller puts it out. It is a hit if Drake puts it out. So now we done created a whole fucking persona around a whole city that didn't exist just so this nigga can have a hit. Because the Six is East Atlanta.
I heard that part, and I know about that in East Atlanta. I didn't know how true that was. But like to hear it again,
they told me that. They told me like this is the power of your pen. Like you can ghostwrite to the point where niggas will create fantasy just so they can have a hit.
That's so crazy. And now now your entire country is talking about the Six when you talk about Toronto and it's a part of Atlanta. That's just so crazy. That's just insane.
It fucking cheeses me, fam.
Jesus. Jesus me, fam. But
The least threatening accent I've ever heard in my life. That's the least threatening. That is like the friendliest, whatever. But I just think that what Kendrick did is, even in him accepting his award, like, respect the craft,
the culture.
Like, the reason why we're all here is because we respect the craft, we respect the culture, we understand what this background is. This background isn't barcodes and statistics and analytics and niggas like academics who we wouldn't respect outside. He's getting all his fame and notoriety from a basement, dog. So like, it's like nobody cares because like he directly is a mouthpiece for people that will consume the culture that don't want to touch it.
Right. Right.
I'll wear the ski mask in the house in the safety of my home. I wouldn't dare go where niggas actually put them to use.
Like they're doing the Tootsie slide in a shiesty.
Like a bar right there. I don't go to people
where fucking grand piano really in a mansion.
But nigga, wait. You mean that as a double entendre? Because I'm not going to the wrong side of the hood, and I'm not going to Aspen where white people are using ski masks to fucking snow in the cold.
Yeah, word. Nowhere where it's applicable. You know, it has no use in your basement. It has no use in the basement. So now but that's what people who come from commerce
is loving this.
It's all cultural aesthetics. Like, you want to put on the culture as a costume, but you don't have respect for the craft. You don't even understand why this thing is as popular as it is, or why people are decoding Kendrick videos the way they do. Because that's hip hop shit.
And the people that he created, the fan base that he created, sees us coming out the woodworks, decoding things, talking about the culture, and they don't understand it, and it makes them mad because they don't get it. They're like, oh, that's some lame shit. Y'all niggas is reaching. All this stuff, because just like, you don't understand what we've been talking about, how we've been feeling about this music. We're just out here expressing ourselves because y'all been letting this shit go for like, what, a decade? Nobody caring about what a song is about. Y'all just, having brunch, getting hyped to whatever the fuck songs on the radio. It's like brunch too. Brunch. The way that the club culture has changed too, music and change, shows you where people's mindsets at, because it's like people be turning up more at brunch than anything else.
Can you listen to Kanye given all the other bullshit?
I don't fuck with it. Listen, if I'm in the crib with you and you walk out full Klan member, I might duck you the fuck out, to be honest. I might have to whoop Kanye, but this is the thing. What does he do? He goes and gets in front of a weirdo like Act who just happy to be in that nigga's presence.
Totally. Weird.
Who's not going to give him any pushback because this nigga only cares about numbers because he's a product of commerce.
Of Drake.
He's not a product of culture.
No,
exactly. Kanye not walking. Okay, you as somebody who interviewed Kanye early in his career know that nigga wouldn't walk out like that in front of you. He wouldn't walk out like that in front of Sway. Not anybody with any artistic or journalistic integrity would stand there in front of him with that bullshit.
Let me say, I don't know what this wild individual would do. For all I know, he might show up to Abby Phillip at CNN with a Klan suit. I have no fucking idea. But I know I'm walking out. I'm not being part of that spectacle. I bet... I don't, honestly, I don't know. I would have to ask Sway and Elliot, would you do it or would you walk out of the room? Like, I don't know. I know certain people would be like, nah. But
most people won't.
I wonder.
But think about these people. They're commerce, though.
I'm not certain.
Of course,
and you know what,
doing that. Like,
it's easy for people, like if I call them or text them, like, and it's easy for them to be like, nah, I would walk it. But when there's multi-millions of streams on the other side, if you just say yes, it's hard for a lot of these people to say no.
There's no way that I'm talking to this nigga unless, one, we have a contract where he's not wearing that shit, And the nigga gotta write a fucking essay apologizing to me and black people for the last. There's no way I'm talking to this nigga. I don't care. People care too much about money. People cared way too much about money and streams. Actually, that's not even money. People care too much about. Go ahead.
But journalists used to have integrity, bro.
Right?
It's not about that anymore. It's just about what will perform well on social media and have people talking about you. So academics standing next to him as a goofy, everybody already think he a goofy. He can't get goofier. Of course, if you were going to do that with anybody, it would be academics.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, when academics at the end, he's like, no matter what you do, we still love you. I'm like, number one, take the dick out of your mouth slowly. Number two, what the fuck are you talking about? And you know, it's completely untrue, bizarrely untrue. But also, there's no, at that point in the interview, when the interview is over, there's no need to compliment the guy. I might compliment you. I'm probably going to compliment you early on something authentic and real. Your last album was fantastic. You're such a great singer. Something like that. Early on, to relax them and make them feel like, oh, I'm at home. I'm with somebody who fucks with me, who likes my music, who liked my book,
and then
whatever.
Switch up on them?
Yeah, but no, but like at the end, the comment at the end, that's just dick riding. There's no need to be, oh my God, you're so great. Everybody.
We made a whole episode on Act. We already know where Act
also,
is.
too, it's like, where's the interjection in the midst of all this? Like, yo, my nigga, why are you wearing that? Explain.
Yeah, he never pushes him. He never pushes him on that point. Why are you wearing me?
Yeah. Why you have that on? And it's like, the thing is it's just odd.
He kind of tiptoes into it, Act does. He doesn't just say, what are you doing here? And Kanye kind of gives a roundabout answer. They don't really even get down to an answer for about half an hour when he's like, I'm wearing their pain because they've commoditized. He doesn't use that word.
That's not even their pain. Ku Klux members is not even. That's my issues. This nigga just says shit. He's wearing our pain, talking about
the swastika chain and shit like that. But
both,
here's the thing.
Both.
I think he's talking about
both of you are right. And he represents their pain with the swastika, but Green is right that he thinks it's the same thing. He thinks that him rocking the Klan shit is the same as others saying the N-word.
Okay, well, let's just get down to like the real reality of it is that he doesn't know what to do when people aren't talking about him.
Right.
And when you get to a certain level of like narcissism, you don't care whether attention is good or bad. You just need the attention. You just need people talking about you. So if the only way that I'm generating conversation about me is through negative talk, fuck it. It'll do. Which is why he's always name dropping niggas and talking shit.
Well, the other thing that I thought of when I did my video about him, and you do the deep dive, you do the deep think inside yourself, like what's really going on? And it's critical with Kanye to always remember this is a single parent, single child relationship, right? His father's kind of part of his life, but it's really about him and his mom one-on-one. And his mom, I talked to her, but you see this in the documentary that the two brothers did on him. Was that on Netflix, HBO, whatever?
Netflix.
Like
Yeah.
That his mom worshipped the ground that he walked on. She thought everything that he did was amazing. And I feel like now he's kind of saying to the fans, will you love me the way she did? And like she would love me even if I fucked up, even if I was bad, even if I was obnoxious. Will
that's
you
real love.
Me
Yeah.
if I'm bad, if I'm a shitty person? And I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's real. It is. I feel like love is forgiveness. If you love somebody, you will forgive them when they make a mistake. But Kanye is asking his fans to do a toxic backflip of like, I will love you no matter what you do, even if you do these horrific things and say these horrific, which is a horrific thing to be asking of people, right? Like most artists are like, I want you to love me. I make it as easy as I can to love me. He's like, I'm making it hard to love me. Will you still love me like mom did? Which is like,
because he's playing the victim. He's playing the villain to victimize himself.
Yes.
So it's like, what if I put on this villain costume? Will you still love me? So you still like in a roundabout way trying to be the victim. And it's
But
like,
That's true.
he didn't start engaging in the self-villainizing stuff until after his mom died, and I think he blames himself deep down for his mother's death, and he feels like a villain, and so some of that is coming out because he feels like he helped kill his mother.
True.
Right,
Let's get to
right.
some
Well,
super chats real quick. We had some for a hot minute.
Right.
Let me cut y'all off with these super chats.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Screwface in the building. Nah,
Woo.
grits cooking,
Always.
cooking. It's the TikTokification of the world. Green is also right with the tech world changing music. Music is just content now. Yeah, the word content, which comes from Hollywood, that's a Hollywood term, being a normalized concept in just media and everyday life, completely ruined art. Because people make art and now it's deemed as content. And now you think about it and as commodification. Because content literally is a word Hollywood used to commodify art. That's an internal term. So I completely agree with that. You can't have a vision for art you don't create. The way I love Deante Kyle, I'm so glad to see his face. He might tell a joke, but never lie. And I loved that. That's a bar right there that you dropped. Also, people were talking about saying that, the KKK also historically has hated had campaigns against Jews, and we know that. We're just trying to say that also represents something else towards black people and black families in the black community for decades, and he's completely trying to ignore this fact like it doesn't do something, but he knows what he's doing. That's all we were saying. We weren't saying that it's only
they're
not
also
that it's not about
historically
Jews.
Christian.
Yeah. Yep. 3,000%.
That's the Kanye whole thing, ain't it? I don't know, man. It is weird.
He weird it all. I want to go off because they shouted out Grits and Eggs podcast, and I've been watching your podcast from basically the beginning, known you from TikTok, and your shit's been going crazy. Tell us when you started, how things are going. Let's get some background on that. Make sure y'all. I know we got some Grits and Eggs fans in here too in the comments.
Yeah. So it stems from like just the short form content that I was doing on like TikTok, like just social commentary and like hip hop shit, like any commentary of what I was already interested in. So it was like hip hop takes, album reviews, but then it was a lot of like political, social commentary things and things like that. And as it grew, people was asking for more long form content, but I was also like an over the road trucker at the time. So like, but I was like, fuck it. I mean, it was something that I was interested in doing in that space, or just like, okay, well, this give me some time where I don't have to like consolidate these into 2-minute, 3-minute think pieces. I could really like expand and elaborate on my opinions and research and information that I have about these and really go in, right? And so I started it just with like an iPad and a mic in the back of the semi truck. And if you would go back to like look at episode like 4, episode 6, like I actually filmed them in the back of the semi. So
wow.
When it started gaining some traction there, I didn't know how to promote it because it was mostly audio only. So I was like, well, I can't promote this on social, so it's not going to grow. I need to get to a space where I have a studio and things like that. And so I moved back to Georgia August 2023, built out this studio, and then we popped off episode 13 January 2024. And then we just been going ever since, and it's just been growing, and mostly because I have the opportunity to promote it outside of just the audio. I can promote it well on social media.
Yeah, because that's why I've seen a lot of the stuff goes viral on like TikTok.
Are always about like we always try to make clips where we can have a larger conversation, but also to bring people over to join in the conversation that we're already having.
Yeah, it seems like you're not doing like these clickbait clips. It's like, oh, we're in the middle of a conversation you want to have, and the people that want to have that conversation are getting in there. Like I forgot the clip where you asked this young woman, or she said, I'm a paraphrase and put in my own writing. You basically said that black people make our trauma into triumph, and that's why. So we make this shit look cool. So, and that's why, and people don't know that this shit's hard, this shit sucks, and this is systematic, but we've made this struggle look so good that you want to partake. You want to have fun in that. And that joint went super viral. And that's a concept I kind of want.
LaFleur.
Okay. That's a concept I also want to talk about in the sense of just blackness in general. We talking black. That's what this whole thing is talking about. We talking black right now. The idea of black excellence killing black power. I feel like you kind of touched on that a few times in your pod. But let me know what you feel about that.
I think the person that kind of brought that statement in itself to the forefront is 19 Keys. But
okay.
I think the idea of black power is community and collectiveness. Black excellence is a very individualistic plight. So, you know, and then also too, it doesn't even have to be a cultural thing. Like you don't have to have any love for the culture or the community to be an excellent black. All you got to do is be black. So you could put that label on somebody just because of their successes and not really know how they feel about the community in general. They could be very anti-black in their rhetoric, but we package it down to these individual achievements as this is the first person. And then we get into the weeds about things like, you can call Kamala Harris black excellence, right? But then we're going to get into the weeds of like, is she even black? And her husband's white, and you know her policies really affect the black community, and you know prison reform and things like that. And so then it becomes like a very fickle thing, black excellence, because then when we make it about the individual, then we get away from the power of like what it does to represent the community.
Well, I love that, but also, if they're both strategies to escape racism, the black excellence notion is if you're just great enough at whatever it is, you will fly over racism. And we know that that's not true, that even at the upper end of wealth, of education scale, black doctors, black lawyers, even Beyonce, right? Beyonce is like the poster woman for black excellence and this notion of you're just amazing at everything. It will work out for you and racism can't stop you. And then here comes the country world to say, hold my beer. I'll show you how racist we can be. And it didn't dent her movement. It didn't stop her from doing what she wanted to do. But it was like you can't make, she clearly wanted their attention, at least. It was a revenge album against the country world after what happened at the CMAs. And they were like, no, we still hate you. We don't care.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the issue. The thing of black power is it's enough for us. You know, like black power, black love movements, the idea of like natural hair movements, us just fully embracing who we are and how we show up and the things that we provide culturally and having and building community and love around that is we're enough for each other. We don't need the approval of, you know, anything outside of ourselves. And oftentimes black excellence ostracizes us to the point where we're like, well, yeah, I'm black and I'm excellent, but I'm also like not connected to and I'm surrounded by white people or any of these other people that have anti-black rhetorics and ideals. And so it's like, yeah, I may have achieved this thing and I may be the first black person to do this thing, but I'm surrounded by people who don't really understand this. Yeah,
the higher you get,
don't even understand the significance of it.
The higher you get, even Damon Wade says, the higher you get, the less white people are going to be there, right? The more different rooms you get, there's just going to be, the less black people are going to be there. There's going to be more white people around you in the different rooms you get in. I want to try something, Deante, because your joint is blurry. Try calling back in. We still stay live. We still hear everybody. Try to come back in and see if it works
a little bit. This has been great, though.
Oh, no, this conversation's been great. He also talked about something, Tori, that I love, a statement called "The revolution is love." Thinking about how we talk about this in a different way, because a lot of people talk about it in like fight and bloodshed without thinking about what does it mean. Oh, it's a little better.
It's a little better. Yeah. We back.
Yeah. So I want to ask you this, like, what does it mean? The revolution is love. What does that mean?
I think, so the idea of a revolutionary, right? What we look at as a revolutionary is just somebody that's black and they're radical. They're anti-establishment. They may be viewed as black nationalists. They may be viewed as all of these different things that have an undertone of like violence in nature, right? So when we think revolution, we always point to the Haitian Revolution, bloodshed, violence, right? And I think that for one, given the history of this country and how it's affected Black people, especially when it comes to us building our own spaces, creating our own spaces, we look at the revolt that comes with that from white people as destruction, like burning our shit down, stealing our shit, taking our lives, things like that, right? So I think there is a big fear around the word revolution because it does have, an undertone of violence. And we think about the things that we stand to lose, mostly our lives. And we also think about the fact that we don't have any organization or any structure around like a revolution, right? So I think that if we take the idea of bloodshed out of it and replace it with love, regaining trust for each other that was broken during the war on drugs, empathy, love for one another, choosing to turn towards each other before we turn away from each other, and trying to assimilate into the greater society and assimilate again with one another, and knowing these great things that we can do. If we replenish the love we have for one another, then what would you do for what you love? You would defend it. You would kill for what you love. You're going to preserve the things you love. So the revolution being love is like, it starts with loving yourself and loving your community, because then the possibilities are endless.
I appreciate that. I feel like part of that coheres us emotionally. It doesn't necessarily cohere us in a political dimension. And what we need is more power, more economic power, more political power. And part of the challenge too, the love is not entirely addressing that, but also part of the challenge is that we as a community have become so broad that we don't have singular needs that are shared class to class, coast to coast. So what would we be
not
pushing?
being oppressed is the number one singular need that we all share. But I agree with you. But I think that I think that the important part of that, I agree with you that it doesn't have a political component about it. But the important part of that is loving yourself. Loving yourself, love your family, love your culture, then you could love humanity. You get to that point by loving yourself and loving that. And I think that's a big, deep problem within the communities, understanding that we are a community. We do have a shared experience, and being like this shared experience of systemic oppression, right? That's not everybody feels also in the same way. But go ahead.
It's a multi-pronged issue, right? So to Torre's point about politics, we have Black politicians, Black political scientists. We have people whose whole life is dedicated to politics, but they're also Black people, right? And so when I say the revolution is love, if that Black political scientist or Black politician involves themselves in the revolution of love with Black people, then they're going to represent Black people politically. And also, just like a baby, you love your child. The love that you have for your child doesn't just start when they're born and you just think about the things that they need as a newborn. You start planning and preparing for their future. You start having a vision for their future because of how much you love them and the things that you need to do to make sure that you are putting together all the right plays to make sure and to ensure that they have that future that you envision for them. And that starts out of love. So like my thing is this: the love part encompasses everything. It encompasses how we show up politically. It encompasses how we show up communally, artistically, academically. It covers everything, because that's a revolution that you can get behind no matter what sector of the world you're in, no matter what industry you're in. Okay, I'm a politician. I don't want to get involved in any bloodshed, but I do love my community. What can I do for my community in this seat that I have, instead of chasing all of these individual accolades and things that I can, garner for myself as an individual and be Black?
It's focused on community instead of individualism. It's just saying that think community, put community first, put your community first instead of thinking about your individual needs and goals. Because politically, that's what happens.
No matter how you ascend in this country individually, they always gonna remind you a nigga. Always.
You always been one. That's how they see it. So, but that's why I love that, and it allows you to see things from different groups and different creeds and everybody else's situation too, which is, I love that statement. But going in there, but politics, politically, I don't know if I need to ask that specific question. It's like when you think of politics in general, Do you lean left or right? You somewhere in the middle? Like where you at?
I mean, I just got beef with all that shit. I don't. I don't think that it's like. I don't think that it has like a good representation. I think that. I think that how I show up, I appeal to the left naturally, right? But like I have an issue with the whole like institution of government in
Of
general.
government policy.
Yeah, so like I think that in any space, regardless of whether you overwhelmingly agree or disagree with them, I'm not willing to take sides with any like team, so to speak. Like I don't have an allegiance to a team. I have an allegiance to a community first. And how do you represent like what does this side, are you just appealing to me like I don't give a fuck about you wearing a kente cloth and taking a knee? What the fuck does that do for the community?
Yeah, that was
Now
lame.
it looks good, and a lot of things
That
that are
was,
being done for us politically are look great optically, and some
but
and
that
people
was,
on the right.
but that was some bullshit optics. And talking about the Civil Rights Act, you're talking about the Affordable Care Act.
Mm-hmm.
One party has tried and sometimes succeeded in doing things that are beneficial to the Black community, like actual legislation, and one party
Right.
is actively working on white supremacy, on bolstering white supremacy.
Yeah. Well, and then like when I'm not going to ever take the side with the overt racial, like not only just
Right.
policy, but just a party that's just going to be, yeah, this is an overt racism that they're representing. They're representing white supremacy. But I do think that there is a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of like massaging that happens on the left where it's just like I just want to make you feel good, and if we can get some policy and legislation taken care of in the meantime, then we will. And I'm always in support of anything that's being done structurally or legislatively in favor of the Black community. But I also like my focus is not, my politics is just the politics of being Black. So like whatever's best for us, and also like whatever brings us unity and allegiance with one another. Like again, what I say, like we'll demand more politically the more we show up for each other, and the more that we have love for each other. We'll demand more out of our government, and we'll put, and a lot of these things are unfortunately like lobbyist things where people are having to pay to play anyway. You know what I mean? Like a lot of things that are done against the society that are in favor of the citizens are lobby. So these are corporates paying for their interests to be put in effect legislatively. And how do we get any power to do that ourselves?
For sure, there's virtually impossible, and you may have seen some of this data. There's virtually, I shouldn't even say virtually. There's honestly no relationship between how much the people want a particular piece of legislation and whether or not it will get passed. There's no relationship between how much the people want something and whether or not it will get passed. There is a very high correlation between how much the wealthy want something passed and whether or not it will get passed. So the more
Yeah,
they
Exactly.
want it passed, the more likely it will get passed.
yeah, because
So that
lobbyists run the. Someone told me this in the government. He says this is someone. This is someone in the government. I'm just gonna say it like that, and said
Word.
you don't need to vote. You need to lobby. That's what he said. You don't need to vote. You need to lobby. And once someone in the government, I'm in DC, told me this, I'm like, this is what you do. You go to the Capitol and you're over here. You're saying, he's like, yeah, you don't need to vote. You need to lobby. And I was just like, that blew my mind. It's like, oh, so I need money
lobbying
and
is critical, but you know what? You know what politicians spend most of their workday doing? Talking to donors and potential donors, and they can't do that from their office where they serve the people. So they have to physically leave their office and go across the street to a play. Like Dems go over here, Republicans go over here, and they just sit there for hours calling donors. So to truly have an impact on the system, you have to be somebody who would be on the other end of that phone.
facts.
Yeah, the things that, and I understand, and I've always kind of understood that. Like, okay, one of the things that you can look at and look to is like the opioid epidemic and the Sacco family being able to lobby to make these drugs legal when they know that they're highly addictive and things like this. So like the money, the cash is king always, right? That's just America. That's capitalism, period. Cash is king.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that when you look at the what candidate, like how do black people get to a place where they're lobbying locally first before we even get to a spot of like, you know, like you said, they're calling donors. Those donors represent communities and represent a conglomerate of people who are putting their money forth, right? So
Or a
if we
conglomerate just itself.
in general, right? And then oftentimes it's corporations and things like that. So that's why like my political focus is very narrowly focused on like where I'm at with it on a communal level, right? Because a strong community gets political power. It's not only just the power of votes, but the power to raise and fundraise money. The power to fundraise money is directly connected to lobbying and getting legislation passed. Even if that starts on like a small local government level, you know, I see it as a possibility. And I would say that, you know, you see it happen in Atlanta a lot, but it happens in favors of individuals who are hyper capitalistic than it does over what's best for communities.
Is Atlanta the mecca of hip hop right now?
I don't think so.
What
I
is?
don't think so. I think the West Coast is where
LA?
Coast is where hip hop is at. Yeah, I think that's where it's at.
But it was Atlanta for a while before.
It was Atlanta for a while.
15
Yeah, it was
years.
Atlanta for a cool 15. Yeah, a cool 15.
Which is
I would
crazy.
say 2000 to 2015, you really couldn't differentiate Atlanta from hip hop.
Whoa, you think 2000? I was arguing with this with somebody. Now we gotta have this discussion. You think 2000? I feel snap music is what? 2003, 4?
So think about it like this. Atlanta had become to the point where this is what people equate with the South.
Yes.
Now, so the sound of the South largely came like when we start talking about snap music, crunk music, all of that comes out of Atlanta. I've said this several times. You could agree, you could disagree with me. I think that Juvenile is directly is the direct correlation for the Southern takeover of hip hop, because Ha is one of the most Ha is one of the most polarizing hip hop videos of that time, right? We had never seen New Orleans in that aspect, right? Outside of the French Quarter. He follows that up with Back That Ass Up, which is the hit of all hits. After that, the only thing we want to do is hear what the South has to say. And around that same time, you get Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, Yin Yang Twins, Bless You, Outkast, all of these things ushering the sound towards Atlanta. Once we get to snap music and ringtones, it's all she wrote.
I think snap music and ringtones is the beginning. I agree with you that that's the catalyst. But when I think about Rain, I'm thinking about you being on top. I could not say, and I don't think anyone can say, that the South is on top between 1999 and 2000.
Green? When is your reign, Green? When do you think it is?
Probably 05 up is and I'm all the way up to 2023. I'm saying 05 to 2023 is Atlanta.
Who are you saying? What are you saying kicks it off in 05? Like what propels Atlanta to the top in 05?
Crunk music, snap music, all the different genres. Hip hop only evolves in the South for the next 8-10 years. And then other regions take what the South is doing and do their impression of it. So drill music is what the South is doing, but Chicago's version of hip hop of that. So they progressed hip hop from the South coming in. Hip hop only gets progressed from the South's perspective, whereas New York had their own perspective. LA kind of brings in their own and does New York's perspective, but they bring in their own thing. Obviously, LA has their own sound, and all of California, West Coast. and then it goes to the South, and they're the ones that change it, and it didn't change for a good decade and a half. So
Wait, we're gonna pull the boat into the dock in a minute, but you love the why. You understand Atlanta. Talk about why Atlanta became the dominant city in hip hop. Partly because a lot of New York people moved down south, but partly because Atlanta is hot. Partly is it because they were still getting musical education in church on Sundays. Like, what was the thing that sparked it off?
I think it has something to do with what Green said. There's a multitude of genres, right? So we get crunk, snap, and then trap. So it feeds every ecosystem necessary. Like we get the commercial hits with snap music, and then Soulja Boy, crank that. Soulja Boy is great commercially to introduce ringtones into the ecosystem, but we still get like the rooted cultural street respect from trap music that comes from T.I., Young Jeezy, Gucci Mane, and shit like that. So when you have like everything you could possibly need all in one place, and then you have a multitude of people doing it, like crunk music, you get Yin Yang Twins, you get Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, you get Lil Scrappy, you make fight music, you get Crime Mob, you get Young Bloods, you get like, so even in like these multitude of groups that are making like popular music and like snap and dance music, they're fucking hits. They're hits. They translate commercially across the nation. But the same thing could be said about the trap music. Is T.I., Gucci Mane, and Jeezy are stars. Like, they're stars. And then you have like a palatable person that's in between all of that with Ludacris. So it's like you have everything you need in the South all happening at once. How do you not pay attention to Atlanta when you have everything you're looking for across every spectrum?
Let's get into that why. Let's get into that why. Is that when actually, first going to Atlanta and you tour this world and you see it, and you actually go to Atlanta, you're like, oh, there's every type of black person here. Every freaking type of black person is there. This is the only place in this country where I've seen the spectrum of black
migration. You're saying because of reverse migration from the north and from the south.
There was already, but that always existed. There's always been eccentric people in Atlanta. Like Atlanta has always existed on the spectrum of blackness. So it's not even just about people migrating here. It's the culture of Atlanta that's always accepted the multitude of blackness. There's not like there's no monolithic blackness to Atlanta. It's always been across the spectrum. So I think that other thing that could be lended to that is that we already had the infrastructure and the foundation. You have the Dungeon Family, you have Organized Noise, you have Jermaine Dupri already down here, you have all of these different like executive functions already exist here. So when the moment came, they were ready to capitalize on it because they already had everything else in place.
Let me leave you with this because I was at BET a long time ago, and I walk into a shoot one day, and they were like, it was like a BET 50th or 25th or some shit, and they were like, so you're gonna do 5 or 10 minute interviews with like 30 artists in the next hour and a half, starting in 5 minutes. So I'm like, I don't have time to prepare these interviews. Remember James Lipton, who would go on Bravo and ask people, right, those questions? If God is how would you like to hear God say? What's your favorite color? So like, fine, I'll go through those questions with people, and it'll be fun. So Soulja Boy comes, and one of the questions I keep asking people is, how would you like to die? And Soulja Boy, with his young ass, what was his buddy? What was his partner? Was it his?
Oh, I forgot him.
A-Rap.
You know what I'm talking about.
A-Rap, yeah.
A-Rap. He's like, how'd you like to die? He's like strapped back to back with A-Rap with guns and machetes as we're striking down as people come in and attacking us. And it was the most weirdly homoerotic, violent thing that I'm like, what is this fantasy that you're going to die with your brother in battle as we love each other and fight to the death? And I'm like, you're fucking weird, dude. It's the fucking weirdest shit I ever. Everybody listening was like, that was fucking weird.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Soulja Boy is a he's an odd guy too, because he has like this whole Atlanta personality, but he's from like Mississippi. So it's like this also was very popular to say you were from Atlanta even when you weren't.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's the big city, right?
Let's just say this. I guarantee you that Soulja Boy ain't never Superman no ho. At least not before he made that record.
Hey man, I ain't gonna hold you though, man. That dance had my high school on lock. Like everybody.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there's also a thing of like marketing to kids at the right time. So when we get the Yule, we also get the Crank That Yank, and we get the Roosevelt. We got all of these different dances that we cycling through. And then this is also the early days of YouTube, where you could just record something on a shitty phone and put it on YouTube, and then just tell everybody that you got a video on YouTube. That shit was cool. It was like a clout
And you
thing,
learn
too.
to dance. Like he did dance tutorial for his song. Like he used the internet for the first. Like he was one of the first ones. Yeah, first Soulja Boy, the first rapper to do something. Yeah, he was though. Like he ain't lying though.
You can't take it away from him.
You can't take that away from him at all. But yeah, I think we are an hour and 20 minutes in. This is about our time right here. This has been the amazing show. We're gonna have to have you back again, and we're gonna have to de-blurify your ass next time we have you on.
I'll probably have to get one to stream from one of my cameras next time.
Oh, that yeah.
I do got a question for Torre though, and for you, Green.
Go ahead.
As I wear the polo, can we say that Young Dro is the equivalent to Cameron in the South?
Can we
That's a
say
Green
that
question?
Young Dro? Wow. I never even thought about that.
Think
That's
about the
very
flamboyance, the abstract lyricism, and the supreme self-confidence. Just something to leave y'all with. Y'all can talk about it in the chat.
Y'all talk about it. I can't believe I've never made that correlation before, but that's because Young Dro can spit too. Like Young Dro's got it, has bars, the swag. Cameron's the same way, like a real rapper, created a flow, has hits like whenever they wanted. And for the South style, Young Dro was it. So that's crazy that I've never made that correlation. See, that's why it's Rap Latte. That's why we out here.
Absolutely.
But
We outside,
thanks for coming
Green.
through.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all for
Great
having me,
episode.
man. Tori, it was great to meet you, Green. Thanks for the invite again, man.
For
No
sure.
doubt. Do it again.